Hello, my name is Niemczuk and I'm a Polish concert pianist, and I'm also a professor at the Silesian University where I teach piano. You may know me from my videos about all Chopin's music for piano, which I made in the years 2020 and 2021. Analysis of all Chopin's music for piano, but almost all. I'm still in the process of finishing some of the posthumous works that I didn't manage to do. But today I decided to record a video about exercises, technical exercises, and specifically the Charles HANON exercises, because many of you actually asked me about it, and many of you asked me about technical exercises and how to practice. So instead of reaching specifically to each one of you, because there's quite many of you, I decided to just record one video which might be useful for all of you who play the piano, who wants to improve the technique, and who wonder, is HANON good or not? Well, this is the very important question, and as if you are interested in piano playing and technique, you probably know that it's a debate. Some pianists say that HANON is absolutely horrible, wrong, and can damage your technique and can give you an injury, and you should never, ever practice the HANON. There's another group that says that it's a fantastic way of improving the technique and that you should practice HANON daily. So today I will try to give you my point of view based on the at least, I would say, 12 years of experience with HANON, and to prove that it's true, just look at the score, my score of HANON, which is just, you can see, there's even some water in it. I think I started practicing HANON still being a university student, and that was probably like about 13 years ago or something like that, and since then this course is always with me. For many years I practiced it daily, and I discovered my own way of practicing HANON based on many different books about the technique. So what I did, I read many books about the technique, and I put the most important things from this book together, and then I absorb it to HANON in my own way, which I want to share with you today, because I also do it with all my students. So this is a very important thing maybe to start from. Every single one of my students, whether it's at the university or private or online piano, because I also do this, has to practice HANON, and we start usually from HANON. Just to put the basis. I think the technique is the basis of everything. I mean, in all art, you can't be a good artist without the technique, without the good technique. You can't express yourself without the good technique. This was always my problem when I was a student. When I was a high school student, I had a very bad technique, and I had to change all my technique at the age of 18. It took me about 2 years to relax everything and to have a good position of the hands and so on. But I always wanted to express myself and the music. I never had really problems with expression, but I had problems with the technique. So after this many years of struggling and practicing, and I never gave up, I finally can say that my technique is quite good and helps me and allows me to express what I want to express. So after all these experiences of mine, hard experience, now I want to share this with other younger, and not only younger, pianists who wants to improve the technique, but they maybe don't know how. Based on my own experience. That's why I love teaching so much and helping, because I know these problems myself. So why HANON? Well, usually when I give HANON to my new students, I always warn them. I tell them, whether they are younger students or older, I tell them, I know it's boring, but it has to be boring. I know there is no music in it, but it must be like that. Because if we practice the technique, we should focus only on the technique. I mean, in general, in practicing, I think you all agree with me, in general, in practicing piano, what we value the most is saving time. Not everybody has 6-7 hours a day to practice piano. So if we have a certain amount of time that we can spend playing piano every day, we need to save every minute. So the first very important thing that you can write down is that HANON saves the time. Comparing HANON to exercises by other composers, I don't know, Czerny, well, let's call it Czerny and others. There are hundreds of them or dozens of them. Comparing to them, HANON is saving the time so much. Because, why? Because when we have Czerny, of course we improve the technique, but usually in 99% of, well, maybe let's say 95% of his music, in one piece we improve only one hand, and the second hand is accompanying, right? So, in my opinion, it's a little waste of time to learn the hand that is accompanying just to play the etude. I mean, the etude by Czerny or others is not to be played on concerts. It's only to improve the technique. And I want to emphasize this very clearly. We should focus only on the technique, and that's why we save the time, and HANON is doing that. So this is what I'm telling my students. Sorry, it's not music, but it must not be music. If it's beautiful, then we want to play beautiful, we get tensed. And this is wrong when we study the technique. This is the first very good thing about HANON. The second very good thing about HANON is that we save, as I said, save the time. But we can also practice it in many, many ways. Not only like it's written. What's more, I would not recommend to practice HANON exactly the way he himself wrote how to practice it. So in this video I want to show you how I ask my students to practice and what I tell them. So let's start now from how to do it. First of all, only hands separately. This is one thing. Of course, it is written hands together. Every hand is playing the same thing. But this is a very important thing. I read in some books that very, very good books about piano technique. I don't remember which one because I read a lot. That all the piano technique we gain each hand separately. All the piano technique we improve with each hand separately. This has something to do with the brain. This has something to do that the right part of the brain controls the left hand, and the left part of the brain controls the right hand and the right part of the body. So, very clear proof for that. When you, let's say you spend 1 week or 2 weeks on playing the scale with the right hand only. And when after 2 weeks you can play the scale fantastically, you can play it, you know, like evenly and perfect tempo, and everything is just brilliant. Then, does it mean that left hand can also play exactly the same like right hand? No, not at all. So I recommend to my students to consider two hands like two different pianists, two different persons. If right hand can do something, it doesn't mean the left hand also can. So left hand has to study by itself. Usually, in most of cases, left hand is much weaker than right hand, but right hand is usually much more tense than left hand, because with the right hand we write. So when we write, we get tensed, usually, when we are young. So we have to be careful. So in some pianists and some students, it happens that left hand is better in some right hand, but we have to make them equal. We have to make them exactly the same. So hands separately only. That's the basic. That's a very important thing. And now, of course, how we start? We start from well, learning it by heart. Well, this is very easy by heart. This is another very good thing about HANON. We don't have to memorize it, because it's all the time the same thing. Even for young kids. Well, why it is so important that we don't play it from the score? Because we can focus 100% of our time to the hand. We can look at our hand and we can control it. We can control if the technique is good. We can control if the position of the hand is good. And so just start, of course, when you learn it for the first time, just start from a slow tempo. And focus on your problems. Of course, without a good teacher, it's very hard to see all the problems, but I can tell you just now, very fast and briefly, what can you and should you focus on. First of all, focus on the relaxation of the whole hand. Second of all, focus if your fifth finger, which is a very common problem, is not standing up. It's not like this. Well, I can't even play like that, right? But it happens very often. It means that this part of the hand is tensed and you will never be able to play fast, and your technique is simply wrong. This is the very common problem. We can solve it by looking and controlling the fifth finger, but also by practicing keeping the fifth finger all the time down. You can do it also fast. And so on. Another problem is the thumb standing up very often. Better to show you. This is also wrong technique. The thumb should be always touching the keyboard. Also the same problem, the same thing, how to solve it. Or keeping the thumb up. Of course, the position of the hand, which should be like this, which should be very natural. And as I said, relaxation. Now, what I usually do with my students who are tensed, very tensed, I ask them to start from practicing HANON like this. One group at a time, and the first note of the second group. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 notes. Stop, then put down the hand, relax completely, as if it's dead, and then play the next group. Relax and play the next group. Relax and play the next group. Relax, and so on and so on. Left hand the same. When you can do it, and you can play one group very fast. You can try at least, right? So, after a few days, when you are comfortable with this, you can play 2 groups. And relax. And relax, and so on and so on. Then 3 and 4 and so on, until you can play up and down without any pain. Because the thing is that we should feel no pain whatsoever when we play extremely fast. This is the next thing. I ask my student to play as fast as possible, as soon as possible. So we don't focus on playing slowly. When we play hands separately, we can play even faster than when we play hands together. And HANON is to improve fast thinking. Very important thing. Fast fingers are not very important. Fast thinking is important. When we have 31, the first 31 exercises are only for fast playing. But they are different constructed, right? Everyone is different. So we learn how to think fast to tell our fingers which one should play. So the brain is telling you, now you, now you, now you, now you, right? And depends on what, or, and so on and so on. So, as I said, the goal is that the student plays at, let's say at first, after, I don't know, depends on the student, 1 month, 2 months, the first 20 exercises every day, as I said, as fast as possible, playing right hand first, up and down, the first exercise, then left hand, up and down. Then the second, up and down, and left, up and down. The third, the fourth, the fifth. Every day the same thing. You will feel the improvement very, very fast. Your left hand will improve very fast. And I want to point out a very important thing. Practicing HANON like this and thinking that it will improve your technique or thinking that it warms you up doesn't work. It's not what it does. It's a waste of time. Sorry to say. When it comes to warming up, I recommend exercises like this, or like this, or like this kind of stuff. Of course we can play scales. The next after these 31 exercises, of course later in HANON we have scales, and the scale practicing also is in HANON, so I will talk about it a little later. But now I will answer your question, which for sure will occur. So I answer it now. Should we practice HANON in all the keys? All the 24 or all the 12 keys? Well, what for? There's always a question when we practice technique and exercises. We have to know why we do it. Don't practice stupidly without thinking why you do something. Of course, playing in C major improves very fast playing on the white keys. So it's not the whole technique of the pianist. We have to also know how to play black and white. So what I recommend is practice in C major, and when you master C major, go to C sharp major. And master C sharp major in exactly the same tempo, articulation and way. So and left hand is the same. C sharp major, right? And then when you can play in C major and C sharp major, then you don't have to. Well, if you want to improve your brain thinking about the keys and tonality, of course you can do it. But to improve the technique, it will not help you much. Another thing, of course, don't get me wrong. There is not only one way of playing HANON. There are many ways, and we can improve in HANON. We can improve everything we want and we need. For example, if we want to prepare ourselves for Beethoven playing, we should practice HANON with a very good articulation, very heavy in the keyboard and quite loud. Every single note. And so on. When we want to improve the articulation for Mozart or for some of early Chopin, especially fast passages, we should play lighter, but also a sterile, like a very, not a staccato, but very separated notes, but lighter. So I hope you can hear the difference. So we lift the fingers higher. This is Mozart, right? We can also improve legato playing. Of course we can. Then we have to play slower. And make a crescendo and diminuendo. And play with flat fingers. Or C sharp major. If you want to improve staccato playing, because we have staccato in some of the pieces, we just play finger staccato. hand staccato from the wrist. If we don't want to, because in HANON later there are octave exercises. If we don't want to, we don't have time to go there, we can simply play the first 20 exercises. In octaves, then we improve our octave playing. That's another thing. Now, also another very important thing, and answering another of your question: can HANON cause an injury? When you practice, like I tell you, no, it cannot. Why? Because we practice one hand for 30 seconds, right, or about, and then we relax this hand, and then another hand is playing for 30 seconds, and then we relax, and then so these hands are having this work and relax, work and relax. When you play hands together and when you play it for 20-30 minutes all the time, you can cause, I mean, you can have an injury if you have bad technique. And even with good technique, playing like this for a lot of time, it can provoke an injury. So I don't recommend it. That's the main reason why well, apart from the improving technique, why I ask everybody to practice it only hands separately. Another thing is that there are not so many pieces in the piano literature when two hands are playing together exactly the same thing. Of course, we have some of these pieces. We have in Tchaikovsky piano concerto in the third movement, something like that. We have in Chopin's Variation Opus 2 when we played with the orchestra, and with some other piano concerti, especially piano concerti, or yeah, something like that. But this for this, most of the cases we need only one hand, very fast and good piano technique with good articulation. So that's why I strongly recommend to practice it just hands separately. So what else? Because I think I want to tell something more. Of course, there are many different ways of practicing with relaxation. For example, if you want to relax and play fast, you can move your elbow while playing. And so on. It helps very much. If you can do it, it means you are relaxed, which is very important. And now, when you master 31 exercises, of course you go on to the next ones, and then you have finally the scales. And the scales is also something that I try to practice every day. And now I show you how I practice the scales. So, I always play all the scales and arpeggios, every hand separately, again, because I have to be sure that left hand can play scale as well as right hand, right? So I start from C major, and I play 2 times, 4 octaves up and down, like this. And then immediately I play the arpeggio in the same tempo that I play the scale 2 times. Then I relax, and then I play the same thing. The same thing with the left hand. Sorry, I missed a few notes because I'm talking. And then after C major, I go to A minor. So I do C major, A minor. After A minor, which I practice this one. And then I go 1/3 down with on the circle of fifths. So F major, then D minor, B flat major, G minor, E flat major, C minor, and so on and so on. And I make a whole circle and I come back to C major. Practicing like this improves very much the scales and arpeggios. And what is the most important in scales and arpeggios? Of course, evenness. But when we play slow, it's not a problem. When we play very fast, then you have to remember that don't try to connect like many people teach at schools. Well, this makes no sense in fast playing. Rather, we have to play staccato here, and then going down we play the thumb staccato. So that we don't connect, but we play staccato. Now you will tell me that it was uneven. Of course it was uneven in slow tempo, but in extremely fast tempo you will not hear that it's uneven, especially when we have the dynamic growing and going down. So it was not legato, finger legato. Could you hear that, or there's now here? Of course you cannot hear it, it's too fast. It's not my invention, even Chopin himself was telling about that in his piano method, the book about piano technique. So yeah, that's very important, the position. So as I said, in my opinion, and not only my opinion, my experience as a teacher and as a pianist, HANON exercises are extremely useful and good, can save a lot of time, are good for improving the technique of our students, because it's really amazing how it works, like in a very fast. You can see the difference after 1 week, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks when you learn it. It's unbelievable how good it is. So I'm very thankful for HANON for this exercise, because it really helped my technique. Of course, it's not everything that you can do, but there is a lot of fantastic exercises also later in the book. So yeah, I think that's all. I hope it was useful. And please, if you start doing my advices and practicing like that, after 1 month, please write a comment if it helped you or not. I'm pretty sure it will, but of course it would be best if you had some kind of guide, even once a month, to tell you if you are going in the right direction, to tell you if your technique is good, if you are relaxed, and your position of the hand is good, your fingers are not up, and so on. Okay, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please write down. I will try to answer them. If you have some ideas about some other video like this, please also tell me. I will consider that and I will try to record for you. Thanks a lot and Happy New Year, because it's the beginning of the 2023. Bye bye.